In the Azure Data Lake Analytics team, we often talk about how easy it is to use C# code or .NET code with U-SQL. And I want to demonstrate one facet of that with Visual Studio and U-SQL. So I have Visual Studio 2017 installed, and I have our Data Lake tools also installed. I created a new project, and I have a very simple U-SQL script here. It just extracts from a TSV file, and then it writes to a TSV file. So right now it just copies. And you can see it's running, I'm going to run it on the local account. So this is local execution. And so we're going to take a look at a feature called code behind, okay? But before we do that, let's just make sure we have this running and everything's working. I'm going to submit the script, which means run it locally. And there we see it completed. And I've run this several times, so it's a little bit cached. So that's why it compiled so quickly. There's the output, and then you can see it has these 7 columns. Okay, so let's try first to just do a basic U-SQL script modification, and let's change this around a little bit. Search log equals, and we'll say select. Now I'll just select a single column from search log. So I'm doing a refinement of the search log. That's it. Okay, so I extract the data here, and then I say, oh, let's just have a single value called query. Let's run that. And because I've modified the script, it has to regenerate, so the compilation phase is going to take a little bit longer than when I started. There we go, it ran. And then let's take a look at the output. Okay, and you can see I filtered now to just one column. Now, we're going to start by just exploring the feature in steps. We're going to just add a new column, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to make the query, create a new column where the query string is capital, okay? Is capitalized. So we'll say query dot to upper. And then we'll have to give it a name. So we'll call this query 2. And in case it's not totally obvious, because this is a U-SQL script, this data set is like, it simulates like a search log for a search service like Bing. Okay, that's why the word query is being used here. I don't want you to confuse that with the U-SQL query. Okay, so let's go ahead and run this script again. Now, as it compiles, it's taking this code, and it's going to just call the .NET intrinsic function to upper, and it should be running in just a second here. And what you'll see is 2 columns when I take a look at the output. There we go. You can see query, and then the uppercase version of it. Fantastic. Now, this is a C# expression, okay? Now, what I wanted to show you was C# code behind, okay? Now notice that the title of the script is script.usql. It's over here in the Solution Explorer, which I'll expand. And you can see that underneath script.usql is a .cs file with the same name. So I'll click here, and you can see this is just a normal C# file. So what we're going to do is we're going to put our code in here, and this is the code behind file. So to keep it simple, I'm going to rename this namespace to code behind. And I'm just going to type in normal C# code. So public static class, and I'll just call it my helpers. And then I'm going to take a public static string, and I'm going to call it my to upper. This is going to be the simplest possible code you can imagine. I'll take an input string, and all I will do is I will return it. And actually, I'll double the string, so it's more obvious that this example is different from the previous one. I'll double the string, and I'll say to upper. Okay, so all the red squigglies are gone. This is valid code. So I just have to remember now the namespace and the class and the method, okay? So let's go save everything, go back to script.usql, and I'll say code behind. Oops. Code behind behind dot my helpers and dot my to upper. And did I have the name right? My to upper, yep. And then I'll pass in the query string, okay, as query 2. And let's see what's happening here. Now what you're seeing is the code, the expression has been moved to a normal C# class, and I can define the function in this code behind, and I can call it directly from my U-SQL script. And let's see if it worked. Remember now, the second column should be doubled. Let's verify it. There it is. You can see how to make nachos, show how to make nachos. And so it has, in fact, been doubled. And let's close that. So that is code behind. Whenever you put some code back in here, into this underneath the script.cs file, and then you call it, that's called code behind. Some of you are wondering, do I always have to say the namespace? Actually, you do not have to. You can use the U-SQL to a using clause to bring in the namespace. So you don't have to keep on typing in code behind dot all the time. And there you have it. That's a very simple demonstration of how Visual Studio 2017 implements a feature called code behind. So you can easily use C# code with your U-SQL code.